So a few videos ago, I made a video on my hate for anime spoilers, and yeah, spoilers suck and all, but you know what's worse than knowing the ending of an anime before you get to it? Not getting one at all. As someone who is anime only, watching how many seasons of a show, investing yourself in the show, just to find out the anime has no conclusion is a pretty shit feeling. But what can you do about it? Read the manga? Man, get out of here with that. Whenever I watch an anime, one of the first things I do is check if it's finished or if more seasons are likely to come. Cause to me, I don't really see a point in watching something I already know will never get a conclusion. Even something as big as Bleach, I was never planning to watch that series if the 1000-Year Blood War arc was never animated. And obviously I understand sometimes the show just isn't popular enough to justify animating more of it, or the studio doesn't have the time or money to animate it, and I get that. But it's just when I see some shit like Rent a Girlfriend getting 4+ seasons, it makes me wonder. What went wrong? Why is something like this getting 4+ seasons before Vinland Saga can get 3? How is the author even making enough content to stretch it into that many seasons? So today I'll be going over anime that I've watched that unfortunately never got to complete the story and need another season. We'll start off with one of my first ever anime, and I'm sure one of a lot of people's first anime, Nisekoi. Yes, this was one of my first ever anime. I'm not proud of it. So Nisekoi is a romance slice of life anime where the main character Ichijo has a family who's like a Japanese gang. He's also in love with this girl named Onodera, and Onodera likes him too, but both are too scared to confess. In the first episode, a transfer student Chitoge arrives at his school, and they hate each other because she kneed him in the face. But lo and behold, Chitoge's family is also a Japanese gang, and in order to keep the peace, Chitoge and Ichijo have to pretend to be dating so the two gangs don't fight and stuff. The underlying plot though is that Ichijo has a locket that he always wears, and that locket was part of a promise he made to a childhood crush he had, with the girl he made the promise to holding the key to the locket he wears. Throughout the story, it's clear the girl he made the promise to is either Chitoge or Onodera. So basically, the anime follows Ichijo throughout his day-to-day life, trying to grow closer to Onodera while also having to manage his relationship with Chitoge, and also like 3 other girls that enter the picture later on, but
we don't care.
And back then, I remember actually enjoying the show. So if you ask me today if I would recommend this anime, it would be a hell no. I would not recommend this anime. Not if you want to use your brain while watching it. I want you to think about every single shitty romance anime trope. And I guarantee you can find it in this show. Harem, tsundere, guy gets punched for no reason, misunderstandings, dumbass main character, fan service, and misunderstandings. And not only that, it's just super fucking frustrating. Nisekoi has the typical will they won't they with Ichijo and Onodera, and it's so annoying because it's so obvious they like each other, and every time one of them is about to confess, the most stupid thing happens to interrupt the confession. A baseball flying into a window, a phone call, Onodera confessed her feelings to him, and this man fell asleep. And one of the other most frustrating aspects of this show is with the whole locket and key thing. For some reason, these characters care so much about who made the promise with Ichijo when they were kids, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, why would a promise you made like 15 years ago influence who you like now? But nonetheless, even though looking back the show wasn't very good, I was pretty sad when I found out that by the end of the anime, I didn't know who Ichijo ended up with and the anime was discontinued. So disappointed to the point where, I know this will surprise you, but I actually read the manga for this. I didn't read all of it, but I did read the ending. Spoiler alert, turns out the childhood friend he made the promise to with Ichijo was Onodera, but he ended up choosing Chitoge anyways. Which honestly, if you've seen any sort of romance anime, you could have seen this coming from like a mile away. But the actual plot seems like it got a lot more interesting from where the anime left off, which makes it a shame that this anime was left unfinished. I would love if this show got a continuation somehow. I mean, it was one of my first ever anime, and I have a soft spot for romance anime. Like, you know that new romance anime, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity? Man, that show got me laying in my bed, kicking my feet in the air and shit. Alright, am I saying too much? After Nisekoi though, I was able to watch anime that had either completed stories or confirmed new seasons or episodes. Until Hunter x Hunter. Now, this anime being left unfinished is an even bigger shame than Nisekoi because unlike Nisekoi, this show is actually good. I'm not going to give a whole summary of the show like I did the previous one cause I'm assuming most of you have seen this anime. We all know that this show stopped at the Chimera Ant arc, but Hunter x Hunter is different than Nisekoi as it's not unfinished because of the lack of popularity or the lack of money. No, it's unfinished because the manga itself is also not finished due to the manga author Yoshihiro Togashi having health problems. So even though it sucks that such a great show is left unfinished, I'm not going to complain too much here just cause, you know, if the dude has to worry about throwing his back out every time he bends down to pick up some trash, he deserves a break. But the arcs in the manga that he has written that occur after the anime sound good. mostly because it seems like it was giving us a lot more world building. There's the Dark Continent arc where Gon's deadbeat dad explores the Dark Continent, an area that was never explored in the anime yet, and also an arc with Kurapika, which I would love to see animated. I mean, it's been like ages since we last saw that guy. Next up, Berserk. Now, Berserk is one of the classics. The original 1997 anime is an anime that is highly acclaimed, an anime that was also never finished, RIP to the author. And lastly, it's also an anime that I never really watched. I'm sorry. I mean, I've heard all the good reviews and how it's a classic, but I can't lie, I watched the first 4 episodes and got bored. Maybe it's because I got spoiled one of the biggest plot points of the show before even watching it, but Berserk just wasn't it for me, and I couldn't care less if it got a new adaptation. And the final notable anime that needs another season is 86. I'm not going to come up here and say this show is like amazing or anything, but it's still pretty good and worthy of more seasons. 86 is like a mix of Attack on Titan and mechs, where the Republic is being attacked by this mech army called the Legion, and the group called 86, who were banished from the Republic, have to fight them. Alright, my explanation is not the best, but I promise it's pretty decent. But unlike other shows, what sucks about this anime not getting more seasons is the fact that the source material is a light novel. You know, as much as I shit on manga cause it doesn't have color, voice actors, music, or anything good really, at least it's like a comic book where I can get visuals on everything going on. But a light novel? That shit's no different than a regular book. And that's also why if I'm ever gonna know what happens in 86, it's gonna have to be with the second season. Cause if I don't read manga, there's for sure no way I'd ever read a light novel. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about anime that I think need another season. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.